What is going on today, YouTube? Hope you guys are doing fantastic. Today's video, I'm going over the patch notes for Open Beta 9. I don't know why I said 5. Idiot! Open Beta 9. I think I'm going to be done just posting Titan Talks. I think it makes a lot more sense if I just kind of talk about it at the end. Everything everything notable about it, if I think it is relevant Titan Talk, instead of just posting the entire Titan Talk. I think that's a lot of the guys want to just see my perspective on things instead of just my reactions to it instead. So that's what we'll be doing from now on. Starting with this Open Beta 9 Saint Tabor update, which is the Guan Yu update, which is very exciting. Oops, that's the wrong one. So we get Guan Yu in this patch, and if you do want to see the Guan Yu stuff, that is in the previous Titan Talk. Maybe for like new gods ones, I'll clip out the part where they show the new god. This is in the Titan Talk from earlier. Go watch that if you're curious about Guan. Some Bumblebee skins. I don't know, I couldn't think of the word. Bumblebee skins. A Bologna cosmetic. They're adding more quips, like Dave's bow down before your kings. That one. This is Paul, Aggro saying, Paul's better. Paul's just better. That one. This is like the Vamos Leviathans. These are good quips. I'm probably not going to use them because I can hardly remember to use my emotes, but those are now purchasable instead of just fart quips. There's actually some good cast ones. Announcer packs. Wow. Tough. Announcer packs are now being added. There are 30, I think they said, in this first wave. They're adding a ping system now also where you can press your middle mouse button to ping. God Builder is getting better. You can now search. The pin builds are now integrated into auto buy and auto build. God Masteries. Okay, it doesn't have it. Now on your God picture, you'll have like a little circle filled in the amount of, or the percentage of how close you are to the next mastery. The chat window will now also show whenever you buy a ward, executioner, talisman, purification, runic bomb, anything like that. And it'll also display for a little bit longer. And now God pages have a specific background, like this Egyptian background for Raw. And they want us to keep an eye out for any more of those. Ranked. There will now be a soft reset. If you are above 4,000, you'll be reset to 4,000. In this range, you'll be reset to 34. So it's just step by steps. Everybody's kind of moving down. Hoping that Smite ranked will feel a little bit better. I know a lot of people are not very happy with the current Smite 2 games. I know I'm one of them. So hopefully this helps a little bit. Skill rating update will be adjusted a little bit. Rewards will now be given out in patch OB10, which is not this patch, but the next patch for your ranked border and your ranked title. Conquest, some gold changes. So in OB8, I think they decreased how much gold was in the map, which overall made tanks feel pretty good. I think it was OB7. Tanks feel pretty good. In OB8, they made massive sweeping changes to like tanks and to squishies. In OB9 now, also on top of some balance, they are improving gold farming and they are decreasing XP farming. So gods that rely on base levels like warriors will feel a little less intimidating in the earlier portions of the game. And now scaling on gold is also a little bit faster. I think they said you should be getting about 5 items by the time you hit level 20 now on average. I'm excited to try this. When I just saw this, I was really hoping for something exciting because this is a really good change, I think. But then they did a bunch of item and God balance, and then I lost some of that excitement. God balance confound. I think Athena needs the buff on both her 2 and her ultimate. This is fine. I think it's going to improve her aspect too. Maybe not too much, but a little bit. So I think these are fine changes. Bologna Scourge. Protections are getting decreased a lot. So Bologna healing based off of protections on her 3. Makes sense, increasing that percentage. Eagle's Rally will also be doing more damage now. So on top of being a stun, doing damage, giving protections, giving power, it also now does more damage, which I think is a really good buff for Bologna. Nemesis buff, a little bit of base damage on her dash and a little bit of strength scaling on her 2. Raw will now be doing 8% of a target's max HP, and there will be a lot of max HP builds in this upcoming patch. I'm curious to see how much damage people will actually be doing with Raw ult. I would not be surprised if you get to like 2,000s. I'm excited to see how some of them look. Rama buff, it actually ends up being a shift. I think it's a nerf overall for Astral Strike, or sorry, for Aspect Astral Strike. And then it's a little bit of a buff to just Astral Strike outright. So we'll see how that lands. I think this is still the worst character in the game, but we'll see. Susano's getting more damage on his 2 and his ult. Thanatos will now be healing more of the minions' health that he kills. Death Scythe is also now an 11-second cooldown, and Soul Reap will be silencing for 0.25 seconds longer. This, combining with the buff to just how much health everything's going to be having, I wouldn't be too surprised if Thanatos becomes really strong. Ymir buff, also getting 10% attack speed debuff, which is going to be crazy. This character is already pretty unboxable, and now they're going to be buffing more of something that makes him unboxable. So that's exciting. Not really, but we'll see. Kali's aspect is an insane aspect where Kali kind of just becomes a brand new character. Her ult is now a stim. Her 3 knocks enemies away. Her 2 still stacks. It does damage. Her 1 is still a jump, obviously, but her auto attacks are now ranged. That's the biggest part of it. Yeah, it's going to be a crazy, crazy aspect. I'm excited to play around with it. A bunch of item changes. Some of these we're going to be going through a little bit faster. Most of these penetration changes. All in all, for all of this, is that every single one of these items is getting a buff to their stats or their passives, but they're losing the penetration. The only thing that's changing is Titan's Bane, Obshard, Totem of Death, and Executioner are getting buffs. So you have 4 item buffs here, just getting more outright penetration. And then these items are all getting shifts to being more intelligence, more strength, better passive, whatever it is. They're losing the penetration. Idea is, if you want to build pen, you're just building this one item. You're not just going to accidentally fall into 20% pen and, overcap. Not overcap, but have enough just all willy-nilly. I think it's a decent change. It makes it so you have to actually be wanting to build penetration to actually get it. So if I'm building, 250 magic protections and you don't have pen, you shouldn't be doing much damage to me. Instead of just ignoring 20% of it because you built Obshard and Doomorb. Or, sorry, Rod and Doomorb. If you're building Obshard, you're doing it right and you should be doing damage to me. All right, the big changes. Gauntlet of Thebes is now going to be 1,000 max health at full stacks. Now it's losing its protections. This one, I think I've already talked kind of to death about. It is a shift, but it ends up being a nerf because there's no niche protection item for tanks now that is just efficient. There's just nothing that fills that void now. Gem of Focus is getting cheaper. It's gaining a little bit of intelligence. It no longer grants you intelligence with those stacks. It's just movement speed. And the passive is now mutually exclusive with Tekokage, which is the exact same thing. They're slightly different, but also slightly similar. Mystical Mail now does less damage the farther you are away, but more damage the closer you are. Phoenix Feather. I'm talking about this in tomorrow's video, which I thought was going to end up being today's video, but I want the patch notes for today, so it got a little weird. We'll see. I do like that it's a lower cooldown. Not entirely sure about it. Prophetic Cloak gets a slight buff. You now only need 300 protections instead of 350. We'll see. Rage is also getting a slight nerf. Still 20% overall, but you just need an extra kill to get that, and every kill is just less effective with it. Shifter Shield now gets 300 more health. You lose the mana. Or sorry, 300 health instead of 200. So they're buffing Shifters a tiny bit. Still think the item's a little whack, but we'll see. Sunbeam Bow is getting a massive shift, which I think is going to be a really big buff to, on her. The passive damage scaling is increased from 20 to 30%. It is now also only 10% attack speed, but you get intelligence or strength based on whichever stat is higher, which a lot of the time should be strength. You shouldn't really be building this item if you're not building strength, but gods on her who are just building strength, I think will be a lot better with this. And there's also no mana regen on this item too, which is a pretty notable thing. So you have to want it on to do damage with it. If you don't want it on and you leave it on, you're going to run out of mana rather quickly, and you won't have that mana regen. Void Shield, kind of the same thing as Mystical Mail, both voids. The passive shred or reduction is now based on your distance. So if you're too far away, it's only going to be 5%. If you're really close to them, it's 15%, which I think is a really good change. Bluestone Brooch is getting nerfed, which I don't really understand why. I don't think this item was that good. And then Boombas is also getting a 5% attack speed reduction, which I think is pretty solid. A few massive changes to the game. I am excited to, play the patch still. I think there's a lot of things to test. Tomorrow's video, I'm going to be talking about support builds and where I think they land. And I always like testing stuff with a new patch. I just think we maybe went a little too hard on protection items and kind of just nuked them. Still excited to try with the XP and the gold changes. And excited to play with Guan Yu. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys have a nice day. I'll see you guys again next time. Peace.